I would consider beekeeping to be a calling. Absolutely, 100%. It's not for everybody, obviously, but it's almost like there's something inside of you already that when you go into a beehive for the first time, or you see bees for the first time, or see a queen, or see the cells, there's a connection made that is unbreakable.
My name is Ashley McLeod, and I live in the Cowichan Valley on the unceded territories of the Quw'utsun Nation. I'm a beekeeper as well as a teacher. I'm a fairly new resident to the Cowichan Valley. We've lived here for 4 years. I think one of the most amazing parts of the Cowichan Valley, it's a very agriculturally rich and beautiful place to live. Amazing rivers, there's the ocean, there's lakes, there's tons of local farmers and growers, and yeah, it's just a really beautiful place to be. Having 2 little kids, I find it's really quiet. You get to know your community. There's a lovely beauty in that.
Hey, I'm Joe Scullion. I'm a local beekeeper here in the Cowichan Valley. We've got 30 hives and we're entering our honey production season right now. I became a beekeeper when I was about 17. My dad had got into hobby beekeeping in Victoria. He had 2 hives, and when he gets into something, he gets into something. And he saw a job posting for selling honey at a small place called Babe's Honey in Saanich. Asked for a job, and I started that weekend, and I'd see the beekeepers coming and going. On certain days, I'd get to go out and follow along, and that's pretty much how it started. So I did that for about 4 years, and then an opportunity came to me to pursue it in the United States with a much larger beekeeping outfit. So I went down to the States and got a job with Olson Honey out of Yakima, Washington. And from there, that's where I did the bulk of my learning and kind of developed my expertise. Yeah, I went all over the country there, North Dakota, Montana, Washington, pollinating apples, cherries, all the fruit trees in Washington, honey production in the Dakotas and Montana. And the largest pollination in the world is actually the almonds in California. And all of their 14,000 hives would go down to California for almond pollination. And so I spent 5 years down there, just following the bees around with a large crew of other beekeepers, staying in crappy motels and partying and looking after bees.
I came to be a beekeeper through work that I was doing on the downtown east side of Vancouver. I worked in mental health and addiction for years. Working with bees can be very therapeutic. And at the time, working on the downtown east side, I was really burnt out and I really needed something to fill my cup. So I joined the Hives for Humanity team, and I was working with a lovely woman named Sarah Common, and her mother, Julia Common, is a master beekeeper, like a very experienced beekeeper. And so kind of all started where Sarah and Julia thought about bringing hives into some of the community gardens on the downtown east side. I worked really closely with Sarah and Julia, building basically like community beekeeping programs and apitherapy programs. So therapeutic beekeeping, working with people that have a lot of trauma, addiction, bringing them into the apiary, showing them the bees, building that connection to nature through the bees. And by extension, there's like a beautiful connection to the community. And all of a sudden people kind of start caring a lot more about their garden spaces, the green spaces, the community, the people, what's happening. So how did Joe and I meet, and how did it become a love story?
I was living in the Fraser Valley, and I felt I was running some hives, and I felt like I was in a little bit of a rut. I got a phone call from a friend of mine, and she said, "Hey, Joe, I know you're in need of maybe a little bit of help with the bees." And I said, "Yeah, that would be great." And then I got up one morning, and there she was, outside my house, bouncing around, all excited, and she knew about bees. She had had experience with another local company, and I was overjoyed.
The first time we met, the first thing we did together, we went out and moved bees from the cranberry fields. So beekeeping requires like a lot of trust and trust building. They're really heavy. You're like lifting colonies up onto trucks. They're obviously like, you know, things can get a little intense. So you gotta move slowly, you gotta be synchronized, there's trust. So yeah, we moved maybe like 20 colonies out of the cranberry fields, and then drove out to one of the bee yards and offloaded them there. It's just beautiful, right? Like it's like sunny, it's sunset, you're out in the country, you're doing this amazing hard work that feels really good that you believe in. So we just had a lot of fun.
I got a letter this morning, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I got a letter this morning, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I got a letter this morning, gonna see you when the sun goes down. I couldn't read it for crying, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I couldn't read it for crying, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I couldn't read it for crying. Gonna see you when the sun goes down. I got a gal in Georgia, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I got a gal in Georgia, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I got a gal in Georgia, I'm gonna see you when the sun goes down. She's a long, tall, yellow gal. Hey, hey, honey. She's a long, tall, yellow gal. Hey, hey, honey. She's a shakes like jelly boy. Hey, hey, honey. Well, she shakes like jelly boy. Hey, hey, honey. Well, she shakes like jelly boy. See you when the sun goes down. I got a letter this morning, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I got a letter this morning, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I got a letter this morning. Gonna see you when the sun goes down.
If you kick a beehive, the bees will put out this pheromone, and it's like a defense pheromone, and it'll get them coming out and defending their hive and attacking people or whatever. So using a little bit of smoke kind of dissipates that pheromone. Okay, so I'm just gonna have a look at this hive to see what it's doing for honey, and I also want to make sure that the hive isn't getting too big in the brood nest and potentially will swarm. So this little gizmo prevents the queen from leaving this box as she's a little bit bigger than all the other bees. So the bees are able to produce honey up here, and I know that I can do whatever I want to this without affecting the actual colony itself. So now I'm into the, what I would call the brood chamber. And it's always nice to see a queen, but essentially you're just playing a big game of Where's Waldo. That is all brood, so unhatched bees. There's a lot of activity down here, so that makes me feel good. So I've assessed it, and basically I can say that the queen has been in here in the last 2 days. Because if I can see eggs turn into larvae after 3 days. And so generally when you're checking a hive, its eggs are the most recent sign of queen activity. But again, to see her, I could spend all day going back and forth in these boxes and not find her. But when I don't need to see her, then that's generally when I find her. Now that is a beautiful frame of brood. To be a keeper of the bees, to me, it keeps me in touch with nature. And for me, I can follow the seasons. I can show my kids where this apple came from.
It's a meditative act working with bees. You mentally are able to leave stresses or other things that are going on and just focus on the bees. So like, half an hour as you're working through, you're focusing on like the things that you smell, the things that you see, if you're tasting honey and watching baby bees emerge. You have the smoker going as well. And all of these kind of like qualities combined can be profoundly therapeutic. I think that's like one of the main like powers of bees, is that it really does like connect you to everything.
The transfer of knowledge in beekeeping it's much like a relationship with a spouse or a friend or whatever. You have to put in the time, and you have to care are the two things. And you also need the guidance. So, and I mean 10, 20 years of beekeeping and you're still scratching your head.
What I wanted to say mostly about Joe and us working together is just how much I've learned from him over the years and how much I really admire his incredible knowledge of bees and beekeeping. And he's probably like the most knowledgeable person in definitely like the country. Probably one of the most knowledgeable people in the world when it comes to bees and beekeeping. So there's so much like value in that knowledge. It's like the only way to really work with bees is by like having a deep understanding, and that takes years and years and years and years.
Coming back to the island and starting it up again on my own terms, and having Ashley with me and behind me, and moving these bees out into the fireweed like I did when I was 17 years old, and seeing those beehives fill up with honey and thrive, and just realize that I can do this. I can do this here, and it's sustainable. And I just loved that.
Bees are so foundational to all plants, all living things. Our food system, they're like intimately connected, directly connected to food production, fruits and vegetables, nuts, grains, through that livestock. Like all the feed that livestock gets are grains that require pollination. What I think it means to be a keeper of the bees is really like an act of service, and it's a huge responsibility. And I feel like as time goes on, it's a growing responsibility. Like to be a keeper of the bees is to work to support and like nurture the natural world, essentially. And through that, really like all existence of life.